All right. Good day, everyone, and greetings from your host, your temporary guide and temporary coach, Oliver Blue. This great fall day here in 2022, I greet you in the nature of our oneness with each other. I am so delighted to be here, and I hope you are. This is day 215 or lesson 215 of our 365-day journey. And today is uh, another part of our 20-day review as we will be looking at one of our previous workbook lessons, 195. Love is the way. I walk in gratitude. And this is the idea that we're going to revisit today. And I'm so glad that you have joined in with me. If you are listening for the first time, this is a platform that is created and sponsored by Truly Foundation. Truly Foundation is a nonprofit organization that is devoted and dedicated to the sharing of advanced spiritual teachings for the sole purpose for helping all humanity, no exception. You'll find here that there are no exceptions on Truly Foundation. There's no exception in advanced spiritual teaching. But what we share is all encompassing. It is timeless. It is formless. It is mighty helpful. And we're only here only to be helpful and to help those that resonate with, what we are sharing. It's for everyone, but everyone, we understand, will not show up here on this platform, but we are for those that this platform resonates with as we are, focusing on the miracle of forgiveness, as we focus on the miracle of a shift in perception. The Course says a miracle is merely a shift in perception, which results in every act of love. And so during this project, we are using the spiritual document called A Course in Miracles. And I use the blue book because there are other iterations of this writing, but this is the original book, what they call the official book, that is being held in trust by the Foundation for Inner Peace. And so, yeah, our goal again in this project is that we are here to provide a means by which those that seek to advance further in their spirituality, those that are maybe still on a search or a seek, and but you have landed in the right place. Believe me, you have. And so today, again, we are in a 20-day work review period, whereby we go back and we review 20 previous lessons. Today is 195, and each lesson contains one thought or an idea. And we say these are thoughts and ideas from the divine. We say these are thoughts or ideas that come from our true self, our divine self, or it comes from the one source that we traditionally call God. And so these are thoughts of God that we share and use for the purpose of helping us to have a shift in the way that we think, the way that we perceive, so that we align ourselves with our true nature, our divine nature, which is love. And that we come to an awareness that this nature that we are talking about, we call it a being, not a human being, not a godly being, just a being, just the one being, that there's only the one being, and we all share that. That in reality, Our reality is this one life that we all share. There's not multiple lives or different lives, but it's only the one life. It's only the one source. There's only the one awareness or consciousness of life, and we all share that. And so it's the foundation that we are refamiliarizing ourselves with, so that we can come from that point of view of oneness. We come from the point of view that we don't look for happiness or joy and peace, but that happiness and joy and peace is a part of our nature. It's a part of our being. And that being at its core is love. And this is where we're all really swimming in this ocean of love. We're all swimming in this nature that's called life. Excuse me. That's good. And so in reality, we're all coming from the one place. In reality, we say that there's only oneness. There's only one place. There's diversities. There's differences that we can experience and diversities that we can experience, but there's only the one source. And so we constantly reinforce that reality. We constantly reinforce that everything that we could possibly desire, everything that is in our best interest, it is not separate and apart from us, but it is a part of our nature, and it was given to us in creation. When did creation happen? If it happened before the world was, it happened before time and space. We didn't just begin when we popped out of our mother's womb, but our beginning cannot really be traced. Just like our ending can never be traced. Because we are a part of that that has no beginning and no end. We are part of an eternity or an eternal being, that one being that we share. And we'll keep saying it over and over and over again. Why? Because we've been taught from this world's point of view. All of us have been part of the indoctrination. that the reality is the individual self, with being an individual entity, one unto himself and separate from all other. Just like the appearance here, if you look around in the room, it looks like everything is separate from everything else. Nothing seems to be joined. Everything has its own individual part, own separate part. It stands alone as a individual entity. And that gives you the idea that we're not, when I say we, I mean humanity. Even our individual bodies, our body identification gives us just a basic idea that, we're different, we're separate, we're not one. And so that idea of multiplicity creates it creates a thought system of what we call duality and multiplicity. And that's what basically we've been trained. And we see where that has gotten us. But today we're talking about, like we do on every day, that in our true reality, there's only oneness. We even go to the point where we say there is only the divine and there is nothing else. Or we say God is and there's nothing else. Or love is and there's nothing else. There's no opposites to love. There are no other options. And so this is a way of thinking that only helps us to begin to experience the happiness, the love, and the joy that we all share. Not that we're pursuing it outside of ourselves, but we come to a realization that it is who we are. It is an aspect of love to be happy. It's an aspect of joy It's an aspect of love to be joyous. It's an aspect of love to be peaceful. And we somehow, along the timeline that we call personal identification, we lost that awareness. I just had my 2.5-year-old grandson uh, visiting for two days, and as I've observed him, because I would say, he has not eaten the garlic or the onions like we have yet, and hopefully he does it. But in his short period of time here, he's still more in tune with his innocent self. He's still more in tune with his joy and his peace and his happiness. And it comes natural to him. He doesn't even think about it. It's all about play. It's all about adventure. It's all about love. It's all about discovery. And so you guys know, if you're of any age, you seem to lose some of that because of the conditioning of this world. You begin to lose some of that because of the teaching and the training of this world. So what we're on is almost like a return to innocence. Yes, this path we're on is a return to innocence. And then we find out that on this journey of renewal, or what we call transformation, that it's really a journey without a distance. Why? Because we really can never separate from our true nature of happiness, joy, and peace. We can never really, disconnect or separate from our true nature of oneness, our true nature of love. And so it is true that happiness is our reality, and that oneness is our reality. We are one. The human race, though it may be billions on the planet now, and there's been billions that have come and gone, but we have not changed what our reality is, and that is the one being, the one life that we all share. All those different expressions, and there are a multitude of them. All those different lives and lifestyles, and all those different experiences and activities and events and sensations and everything that has happened to all of humanity. If you bring it all into an accumulation and could just put it in right before you, you would say that all of those activities and events and sensations and experiences, they were only just temporary. But what remained constant is the oneness that we share. And the source of all of that. Yes, all of that. Nothing happens outside of this one being. Nothing happens outside of God. Nothing happens outside of the truth. And so today, as we review workbook lesson 195, again, our thought for today is, and before we get to that, we always want to start with our central theme that is running through this entire 20-day review period, and that is this: I am not a body. Oneness is not a body. Happiness is not a body. Peace is not a body. Joy is not a body. I am not a body. I am free. For I am still as God, or as reality, or as love, as I like to say. I am as love created me. In other words, I'm unchanged. And not only I, when I say I am here, I'm just reading as it is written, because this is written as a workbook and a study guide for you as an individual. This is to help you. The Course in Miracles is written as a course for you to consider, to help you individually awaken to these advanced truths that expands your awareness and expands your consciousness to your reality. Points you to that which is already present within you. And so it's almost like a personal invitation to all of us. And then workbook lesson 195, the thought was love, or the subject here is love. Love is the way, is the path. It is the means, it's the method, it's the process. Love is the way I walk in gratitude. That word walk refers to our moment by moment expression. Love is the way that we, in each and every moment, walk in gratitude. And so when we talk about love, we're talking about the ultimate one source that we all share, that one being. Traditional scriptures or writing said that God is love. That, in other words, reality is love. The nature of God is love. The nature of reality is love. The nature of the absolute is love. And so it says love is that way, or it's the means. It is the nature in which we operate in as we moment by moment continue on this journey. And we do it in such a way of thankfulness, appreciation, kindness. It's called gratitude. It's our attitude or the aptitude or attitude. It's our way of seeing. It's our way of being. It's our gratitude. It's our thankfulness. And what are we thankful for? We're thankful for love. It says love is the way. And we walk that way in gratitude, with gratitude of the love that we share, of the one life that we share, or of the one being that we share. So we are grateful for our reality. We're grateful for our nature. And here it says our nature is happiness, love, and peace. We're grateful for that. We're thankful for that. And in reality, there are no other alternatives. But in a life where there's a belief in separation, we have created alternatives to love. And we know what they are. Fear, guilt, hatred. And that only happens in a mind that has turned away from its true nature, which is love. And so here we're just turning ourselves back. If we have turned away, we're turning ourselves back. Or if we have forgotten, we're remembering. That's all this course is all about. We're only here to be helpful. We're only here to enhance our expression as love. We're only here to experience our true nature as love. And so it said, it is in gratitude that we do this moment by moment, by being thankful. Thankful for what? Thankful for who we are. Thankful for the one source that is love. Our allegiance, to show our allegiance to that which is real only, that cannot be threatened. And that is love. Love cannot be threatened. Divine love cannot be threatened. Divinity cannot be threatened. Eternity cannot be threatened. Who we really are and our creation, it cannot be threatened. It says here, it cannot be. We remain as what? As love created us. We remain aware of our true nature and only have a desire to express that moment by moment in gratitude. And so it goes on to say here, that this love is our only guide. So we're pointing. So this whole idea is that we acknowledge the oneness, the one life, the one being that we all are and share. And we acknowledge that the nature of it is love. And so we celebrate that. And we acknowledge that as our guide. Love is our guide. Oneness is our guide. So we're acknowledging our point of view. And then it says, love walks with us. This gratitude walks with us. This loving being that we all share walks with us. We all share it. And it talks to us. And it guides us. And it reminds us. It says, and I give thanks that this love shows us the way that we go. It shows us in the manner in which we are to what? In which we are to express or demonstrate the nature of love that we share. It shows us through the experience of happiness and joy and peace. This becomes our very life. And when we know that there is a lack or a absence of joy and peace and happiness, that something has gone off center. Something has gotten out of harmony. And so this becomes like our north, or our true north. It becomes like the what the ships, when they come into shore, they look for the what? The lighthouse. Love is our lighthouse. In case we get off course, in case when in life and in our relationships and in our dealings with life, where we find ourselves seeing everything divided and separate and in competition with one another, and where we see everything as it's only one, it's like we see only one pie, life being one pie, and that as others take parts of the pie, that the pie is getting smaller. Sorry about that. As though there's scarcity and lack in life, and there is no scarcity and lack in love. All right. And so we give thanks that love show us the way. Not necessarily the way to go, but the way to be. That in our beingness, in our daily expression of who we are, how we show up in the world, we show up as a symbol of love. We show up like the Course says, we show up as like the light of the world. And we recognize that it is through our letting go of a perception of ourselves of being separate and divided from one another to embracing a perception of oneness. We come to understand that when we embrace our true nature as love, with all its aspects of happiness and joy and peace, and let go of an idea of ourselves as a separate self, looking for happiness and joy and peace out in a world that is only a temporary playground of expression. And we find ourselves what? Being that light, being that love, enjoying our happiness, our joy, and our peace, and then sharing it. And sharing it with those that may still be searching. And so I am not a body. We come to realize that we are aware of a body and we have one to express this oneness that we share, that we have a body to express this nature of love, of beauty, and extend these aspects of our nature, which is happiness and joy and peace, with everyone and everything, that we realize that we are a part of every living thing and not something separate. And so, just as a review, there were some things that we learned out of Workbook Lesson 195. First of all, we said that gratitude is an inward acknowledgement based on what we call Christ's vision. It's an inward acknowledgement. This is an inner quality. Gratitude is an inner quality. It's an inner knowing. First of all, identification is one. It's an inner knowing of our oneness. It's an inner knowing of our nature of love. And we've used the term Christ vision to define that. We could use any label to define it, but it is the idea that is what is important here, not the label, not the name. It's the idea. It's always the idea. It's always the reality that is being shared, not the form, not the label. Those only becomes blocks to the awareness of the idea of our reality. Even words can become blocked. People offended by certain words. People are not open to any other way of seeing the idea other than what they have experienced. And so they become what we call they become blocked to that one way of hearing things. Or, but it's the idea that's being shared. So whether I say God or love or reality or Buddha or there's so many different spiritual paths, and so if I don't name it through that path, even though the idea is the same, we can be so rigid that we just close ourselves off. But that's okay. That's part of the process. Because rigidity is something that we're not comfortable with. It only creates feelings and emotions within us that we don't like. Why is that? Why? Because it promotes separation. And where there's separation, there's going to be feelings and emotions and sensations that will give you the indication that, there's something here within the mind that is out of harmony with itself. And it shows up in our feelings, our emotions, our sensations. We also said that gratitude is a state of thankfulness. It's a state of being thankful. Thankfulness has to do with appreciation, where we realize that what we are a part of and what we are one with is everything. So it's a inequality. It's a revealed quality. It's not like something that is beyond learning. It's a knowing that you come to embrace. It says that gratitude is kindness. In other words, the response to being thankful and appreciative is kindness. Kindness is what? It's a sharing. It's a form of sharing. It's a quality of the mind. It's an inward quality of the mind. Gratitude is. It's an affirmation. It's an affirmative. It's a declaration of goodness. That you are a part of that which is good. That which is what? That which is wholesome. That which is certain, that which is sure, that which is what? Eternal. That which is changeless and unalterable. That's the nature of gratitude. And so it's a really, really grand idea, a real reality. That is an aspect of who we really are. And when we accept and embrace and welcome that and demonstrate that and walk in that, our life becomes this sweet smelling savor. Our life becomes of great help to others. And so gratitude is tremendous. It's a tremendous part of us. And so how do we walk in that is what we're saying. And so when we go back, we said that gratitude is a lesson hard to learn for those who look upon this world of mist. Meaning, if we look upon this world from the point of view of separation, that's a mist, versus a point of view of oneness, that we all share, that we're all of the one family, we're all of the one household, we're all of the one source, we're all interdependent, that we're all interconnected. It says that's the point of view of oneness. It says, but it is, and so gratitude in that point of view is easy to learn. But here it said, it is a hard lesson to learn for those who look upon the world of mist, or as look upon the world from the other point of view of separation, which is not our reality. It says, the most that one who looks at the world of mist can do is see themselves as better off than others. That's what this is, the effect of looking at the world from a point of view of separation. It says that the most that we can muster up is to see ourselves as better off than others, because now we see others. We don't see oneness. We see individuality. We don't see a shared interest. We don't see a shared life or shared love, but we see this individuated, separated world in full display, in full competition for what it sees as scarcity. And so it triggers a series of mindsets, and then those mindsets triggers a series of what actions that doesn't serve the one. And so it says the attitude is what? We see ourselves as better off as others. It says, and then we try to be content because another seems to suffer more than we. It says, how pitiful and depreciating are such thoughts. For who has cause for thanks, or who has a reason to be thankful? Who has a reason to be grateful? Who has a reason to be appreciative? While others have less reason to be appreciative because we see them as what? Less than us, or we're in better shape than they are. It says, and who could suffer less because he sees another suffering more? In other words, if our value of ourselves comes through the comparison of others, it says these are pitiful and depressing thoughts. This is what the Course says. And it says, and who could suffer less because he sees another suffer more? It says, our gratitude is not due to that, the less fortune of others, or what we might deem as someone that is in a lesser status as us. He says, true gratitude is due to the reality of our oneness and the reality of our nature as love. It said our gratitude is due to that. It's due to love. It's due to who we are. It's due to what we were created. All of us, no exception, to be. And it's due to that alone. And it is that alone, it is that reality alone that can what cause all sorrow to disappear throughout the world. The world is, so he's saying here is that the world is in sorrow because the world, or the thought systems of this world, promotes separation and division. It promotes a state of comparison where we think one is better off than another. One nation is better off than another. One team is better off than another. One community, one race, one nation, one gender. I mean, we can go all down the lines of division and say that these ideas of comparison and separation are at the root of the world's sorrow and of the world's pain. It says, but this love and this reality of our oneness is the only cause for thankfulness and appreciative, and to be appreciative. It says it is insane to offer thanks because of someone's suffering, but it is equally insane to fail in gratitude to one who offers you the certain means whereby all pain is healed and suffering replaced with laughter and with happiness. Nor can the even partly sane refuse to take them to escape a prison that they thought contained no door and the deliverance they now perceive. Your brother is your enemy in this way of thinking of the world. When we look at the world to compare ourselves and to look at those that may, make us feel like there is a difference. If we look to find suffering or to find something to make us feel happy or at peace or enjoy, he says, this is us looking at our brother. Who is our brother? All humanity. This is the way he says your brother becomes your enemy. This is the point of view that we're now embracing, because you see in him the rival for your peace. You see others as the rival of your peace. That I cannot have peace unless I'm better off than someone else. I cannot have peace unless I see someone that is less fortunate than I am. He said, this is insane. He said, that makes your brother your enemy. He said, a plunderer. It makes your brother a plunderer who takes his joy from you. This is looking through the eyes of separation. He says, and leaves you nothing but a black despair, so bitter and relentless that there is no hope remaining. Now is vengeance all there is to wish for. And so we see a world of filled with what? Revenge. We see a world that is filled with what? Unforgiveness. We see a world that is filled with what? Just think about what we see in this world, what we haven't even experienced in our own life, when we were looking through this perception, and how we acted and how we felt and how we compared ourselves to others. But we're not as bad off as them. Oh, I thank God, we're not them. So now is vengeance all that there is to wish for. Now can you but try to bring him down to lie in death with you, as useless as yourself, as little left within the gasping fingers of your own. So here it's just describing the condition in which we get into when we're not walking in the love, the oneness that we share, when we're not seeing and being appreciative of our nature and all the aspects of our nature. But when we're looking through, contrary, where we look through the eyes of separation, when we look through the eyes of sin, consciousness, guilt, and fear. It says, you do not offer God your gratitude because your brother is more slave than you. Nor could you sanely be enraged if he seems freer. Why? Because love makes no comparisons. Let me say that again. Love makes no comparisons. Love makes no comparisons. And gratitude can only be sincere if it be joined to love. What is love? God is love. What is love? Love is reality. Love is our nature. Love is oneness. It says, we offer thanks to God, our Father or our Creator or our Source, that in us all things will find their freedom. Why? Because all things are one. Where we see through the eyes that all things are one, then all things find their freedom in us. But when we look through the eyes of separation and division, and nothing is one, then what we see is a world of separation, a world of division, a world of vengeance, a world of unforgiveness, a world of competition and comparison. A world where there is destruction, where there is lack of peace. It says it will never be that. It will never be that some are loosed while others still abound. For who could bargain in the name of love? So in love, there is no bargaining. All is free. Therefore, give thanks in sincerity that all is free, that all is one, that we're all joined, that we're all what? That we're all sons and daughters of the one Creator, that all humanity is one. That is sincerity. It is unsincere to look through the perception of separation and division and inequality. That's unsincerity. And we know that. Our conscience tells us immediately it's not right. We know it. But in that moment, we just became afraid of love. We became afraid of oneness. We became afraid of our very own nature. So all this is happening within inside of us, and we're projecting it out there in our relationships. We're projecting it. And so, and let our gratitude make room. When we embrace the reality of our oneness that we share, the one being that we share, when we embrace the reality that our nature is that of love, and that we already are the possessors of happiness and joy and peace. He said it makes room for all who will escape with you. It makes room for those that you engage in, and you share this oneness, and you share this reality of our true nature. It says those that will escape with you because of your sharing of the truth, sharing of the life, your extension of forgiveness. It says for all who will escape, it makes room for all. Notice now, it makes room for the sick. It makes room for the weak, for the needy and the afraid. It makes room for those who mourn a seeming loss or feel apparent pain. It makes room for those who mourn, for those who suffer cold or hunger, or who walk the way of hatred and the path of death. So in other words, it includes everyone. Your sincere thanks, your sincere gratitude makes room for all humanity. None excluded. That is sincere gratitude. That is sincere gratitude. It's not gratitude where you just thankful because you have more than another, that you are better off than another. You're not suffering, that you are not cold, or you are not afraid, or you are not fearful, or that you are not sick or needy. But it includes your true sincere gratitude, includes room for them. Why? Because you realize you're not separate from them. There are different things going on in the world, some lovely and some not. And we're not grateful because of those that may be experiencing situations or circumstances and the conditions that are not lovely. But no, our gratitude includes them because we realize that we're one. It makes room for them. It says, all these go with us. Let us not compare ourselves to them. Let us not compare ourselves to another. For thus we split them off from our awareness of the oneness or the unity we share with them. Anytime that our gratitude is not sincere, but it's based on a comparison. It says that we split ourselves off from them. We split ourselves off from our very own awareness of the oneness, of the unity that we share with them, as they must share with us. In other words, it's saying our outward condition, our outward circumstance, our outward situation is not the reason that we have gratitude and thanksgiving. But the true cause of gratitude is our understanding of the oneness that we share. It's our embracing and welcoming the love that is of our nature, the peace and the joy and the happiness that doesn't come from outside, but it comes from within. It is a part of who we are. It comes through the knowledge of the truth. Grace and peace is multiplied. Gratitude is multiplied through the knowing of the truth. So it's not what you have or don't have, but it's what you know that brings on the experience. Let me say that again. It's not what you have or don't have. Because all of us have different levels of different things. I mean, yeah. You can probably hardly find two people that you can say are in the same situation. And that's all a part of the comparison. And that doesn't lead to gratitude. What leads to gratitude is the awareness of our unity with each other. What leads to gratitude is us what? Knowing that we are of the one love, the one being, the one life that we share, with all the aspects of happiness and joy and peace that one could ever experience. So it's this inward acknowledgement of our true identity. So we thank our Creator. We thank our Father. We thank God. We thank Jesus. We thank Buddha. We thank whatever you call the ultimate. It don't matter what you call it. We thank the one source. I call it love. And even love cannot be defined. There's no word that we could use to totally encompass this all-encompassing reality or awareness of truth. And so we give thanks for the one thing alone. The one thing, that we are separate from no living thing. We give thanks because we're not separate from anything, but we're one with everything. That is true, sincere gratitude. I feel myself getting excited, but I'm gonna calm down. So we give thanks for the one thing, that we are separate from no living thing, and therefore we are one with everything. That's what we give thanks for, oneness. And it says, and we rejoice that no exceptions, notice now, no exceptions. True gratitude realizes that there is no exceptions. True gratitude realizes, but that there is no separation from no living thing. True gratitude realizes that there is only the one. Gratitude, real gratitude, is sincerity. We realize that real gratitude, it makes room for all, and that it makes no comparison. Makes no comparisons. And we're so trained to what? Make comparisons. Measuring. We measure our life by what our success. We measure our life by what we're doing or not doing, by what someone else is doing, how they're doing it, how much of them. I mean, this whole world has been driven. This whole world has been driven by comparison and competition. But here it says the one thing, that we're separate from no living thing. And God is the author of life. So in this life, we all, as a shared being, live and move and have our being. And having your being is your happiness, and your joy, and your peace in the nature of love that we share. That is what is eternal. That is what is eternal. The objects of activity, the objects of this world, they're not eternal. You don't get to take this experience beyond this temporary experience. Naked you come, naked you go. But what you're not naked of is the oneness that you share. You're not naked of the love that you are. You're filled with that. It says no exceptions ever can be made which would reduce our wholeness, nor impair or change our function to complete. Notice now, our function is not to compare, but our function, it says our wholeness, it is to complete the one who is himself completion, the one that we share. Our function is to acknowledge our oneness, our wholeness, and our completion. And if we make one exception, we're not acknowledging it. If we write one person off, we're not acknowledging it. If we say none is deserving, if we say one is non-deserving, we'll not what? We're not acknowledging our completion, our wholeness, our oneness. So this is not about the activities of this world. This is not about the events. This is not about the history. This is about the truth that is true always. This is about eternity. This is about this present moment. Wow, I got to get going. It says, we give thanks for every living thing, for otherwise we offer thanks for nothing. It is all or nothing. It is whole and complete or nothing. It is real or nothing. It is one or nothing else. So we give thanks what? For every living thing. And we don't fail to acknowledge the gifts of God that is in all of us. It says, then let our brother lean their tired heads. Now that we know we're all one. So we'll now become available to allow our brother to lean their tired head against our shoulder as they rest a while. We offer thanks for them, those that may be in dismay or suffering, or maybe mourning or sick, or whatever this condition, misunderstanding, those that are, egotistical. Not as something separate from us, but it's really us ourselves, seeing ourselves. It says, for if we can direct them to the peace that we would find The way is opening at last to us. An ancient door is swinging free again. A long forgotten word re-echoes in our memory and gathers charity or clarity as we are willing once again to hear. Walk then in gratitude, the way of love. So this is why we walk in love one to another. The sacred scripture says that everyone that is born of love is born of God. And everybody is born of love, so everyone is born of God. And it says, this is the way we show or affirm this by our love one for another. Not conditions, not comparison, but one for another. Not race, not nationality, not creed, not gender, not status, but one for another. Why? Because there's only one another. So we walk then in gratitude. For hatred is forgotten when we walk in gratitude. When we lay comparison aside, we walk in gratitude. You can't walk in gratitude and be in comparison and be in hatred. Not sincerely you can. It says, what more remains as obstacles to peace? If we forget hatred and we lay down comparison. He said, what else could be an obstacle to peace? He said, we have laid down the obstacle to peace. It says, the fear of God is now undone at last. So comparison and hatred is a result of the fear of God. That we really fear our reality. But now we're learning that it is through gratitude, it's through the oneness, the embracing of the oneness, that all fear is laid aside. It says, the fear of God is now undone at last, and we forgive without comparing. Thus, we cannot choose to overlook some things and yet retain some other things still locked away as sin or sin consciousness or guilt. So there, the whole idea of comparison is gone. There's nothing to compare. When there's one, there's nothing to compare. See, in oneness, there's nothing to compare. When you see your brother as yourself, there's nothing to compare. Will you condemn your brother? Because you would condemn yourself. When we see that there's nothing but the one, and that we're connected with all things, there is now therefore no condemnation. Why? Because you would not condemn your own self. Because you realize that everything is yourself. So you release all judgment. It says, when you forgive, or when your forgiveness is complete, you will have total gratitude. See, and there's no total gratitude without forgiveness. It's like forgiveness keeps showing up in every one of these lessons. True forgiveness. It's like it's the activator. It activates our reality. It is the thing that triggers the thing that we desire, which we already are. It is our forgiveness. Meaning just what? We give up one perception, one way of seeing and being for the only one way there is. We give up that which is antithetical to love, for love alone. It says, you will see that everything has earned the right to love by being loving, even as your true self is loving. Everything has earned the right to be loved. Everyone, everything. So today we learn to think of gratitude in place of anger, in place of malice, in place of revenge. We have been given everything. If we refuse to recognize it, we are not entitled, therefore, to our bitterness, or to a self-perception which regards us in a place of merciless pursuit, where we are badgered ceasingly and pushed about without a thought or care for us or for our future. Gratitude becomes the single thought we substitute for these insane perceptions. God has cared for us and has called us his creation, called us his love child. Can there be more than this? Is there anything greater to be one with the Creator? Is there? Knowing this and being this, is there anything greater than the one self that we share? Is there? That's a rhetorical question. Our gratitude has paved the way to this reality and shortened our learning time by more than we could ever dream of through gratitude. It says gratitude goes hand in hand with love. It goes what? Hand in hand with love. It is an aspect of it. It says gratitude goes hand in hand with love. And where one is, the other must be. For gratitude is but an aspect of love. Gratitude is an aspect of love, which is the source of all creation. Love is. Gratitude is. And no wonder we become so uncomfortable with ourselves when we don't see ourselves as the one self, the one love. We become this field of discomfort, of suffering, because we're seeing wrongly. But with just a slight shift, a little shift in our perception, to see rightly, to see oneness, to see love, to see gratitude as an aspect of this love, everything changes. Or nothing really changed. We just shift our perception, and we see things we see things differently. For gratitude is but an aspect of love, which is the source of all creation. God gives thanks to us for being what we are. Why? Because we're what he is, or it is, or she is. God gives thanks to himself by giving thanks to you. His own completion. You are, I am, all humanity is, all living things are. He says his own completion in the source of love along with him. So we come to understand that we're not an effect. We're not something separate, but we are the very cause of everything. We realize that we are the source of everything because we're one with the one source. I'm getting excited. So your gratitude to these realities, to this truth, and these truths are giving gratitude back to you. It's affirming itself. And that's when you have this knowing or this direct experience of your complete innocence and wholeness and holiness, your eternalness, your infinite self, that you begin to share and extend this in every moment. And you have learned the lesson of gratitude whole and completely. And it doesn't get any better than this. For love can walk no road except the way of gratitude. Why? Because they're the same. And thus we go. And that's the way that we go. The way of love. Or the way of God. Because that's the only way there is. All other ways are not reality. And we know that. We know that. We know that when we have this experience of seeing the face of God in everyone and loving everyone, all of our nature is in harmony, and we know it. And we also know when we get afraid of love and begin to look through the eyes of separation and division, it doesn't feel good. And we don't like it. It's called suffering and pain. It's not coming from out there. It's coming from our temporary slight perception that is not in alignment with the truth of our oneness. And so to conclude, workbook lesson 215, how good it is. I am not a body. I am free. For I am still as God created me, in love and gratitude. That's how God created you, in love and gratitude. And so that love and that gratitude is our guide that walks with us lovingly, day by day, moment by moment. And we give thanks to this loving gratitude that we share, that guides us and show us our beingness. In other words, the way that we be and show up in every moment. Again, we reinforce that we're not a body, but we're free, and we remain as God created us, in love. So gratitude is the way we walk in love. Thank you so much for being here today. What a beautiful lesson. We have something to share. We have something to be. We have something to guide us now for this day. And so let this be our guide for today, our gratitude and our love in everything. Have a good day. See you on tomorrow. Bye-bye.